Accucare Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine in Brick, New Jersey offers a state-of-the-art facility with all the best and current treatments. With athletic trainers, massage therapists, and doctors of physical therapy, Accucare has everything you need to stay healthy and perform at the highest level. Cupping, stretching, laser therapy, compression boots, and a full-body cryo chamber are just some of what you can expect at Accucare. Check out their website and social media links in my bio. No prescription is needed to see them. So call them today and start feeling and performing at your best. Again, thank you to Accucare for sponsoring the Shore Football Report. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Accucare High School Football Preview Show, Monmouth County Edition, presented by the Shore Football Report. Today, we will talk Monmouth Falcons football with head football coach Dan Wendel, the fourth-year head football coach. Coach, thank you for coming on the show this morning.
Coach, thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. We've seen a lot of each other, too, the last 2 weeks. Are you sick of seeing this Hawaiian shirt looking dude out there? I know your players aren't. Your players, a lot of love.
They got a picture with you at Monmouth University. They got a picture with you at Shore's Best. So you're the top commodity so far this year.
I couldn't get over the amount of exposure I got from you guys when I went to the Monmouth 7-on-7. That was incredible. I was in tags of their post on Instagram. It was incredible. I should charge them, to be honest with you. But
free advertisement for you.
Oh, it was good, man. It was good. I always said, if you want to look better in a picture, you grab the ugliest person in the room and you surround yourself with them and you take a picture. And I think that's what they were doing to me, to be honest. They had me in the picture, and of course they were getting all the accolades because they were with this ugly dude with a Hawaiian shirt and my my visor. Or no, actually I had a summer hat, whatever it was. But yeah, that was a great time, though, what we had in 7-on-7s at Monmouth and also the Shore Best Camp. I got a chance to see a lot of your players and really, most importantly, got to know their personalities. Really, that was, great kids. I'll tell you right now, first impression was incredible. Such great kids you got in your program this year. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Yeah, they're a great group. They've been together. This senior class, obviously, is the first class that I've had coming back as the head coach here. So they've been with me since the beginning. And the junior class, they have a lot of brothers that are in that senior class now. So it's a very tight group. So they're fun to be around, and they're good kids, and they work real hard.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about them in your program. But let's talk about something that just happened around 2.5 weeks ago. Huge news in the Shore Conference. The Shore Football Report, is now in partnership with Accucare and Brick. Accucare and Brick and the Shore Football Report are now together. All right, that's our proud sponsor, Pam Anthony, the founder and owner of the physical therapy and sports medicine place in Brick. They do an outstanding job with their athletes. And Coach, you know as well as I do, we talked about this before we went on the air, how important it is for athletes to have an outlet where they can not only strengthen their muscles, prevent injuries, and educate the kids. And the state-of-the-art equipment that she has, that you need to go on my website and click the link and go and check out the facilities or take a ride there because they give out free tours and all that stuff and just see what's out there. Because, Coach, back in the day when you and I played, probably more me, you're a little younger than me, when you had injuries, you jumped into a garbage can with ice and took your whole body, and that's what we did. But they have now these machines where you go in there and it shuts and you just see the head and it freezes your whole body. There's no ice. Incredible.
And guess what? You're still dry then.
Awesome. They have all these high-tech stuff that, for your muscles and your tendons and just incredible. But she's awesome. Her view with the short conference athletes is the same thing as us, and I had to take her on as a sponsorship just because her vision of the short conference is the same as what I believe in too. So you're probably 15, 20 minutes away from it too. She's right in the middle of Ocean Monmouth County, and it's just perfect location.
I mean, the good thing with our school is we're right off the parkway, so if they get to that area, it's going to be very quick for our kids, and it's a great opportunity for our kids to go down there, get some treatment, get ready, and whether it's the summer or during the season or whatever they need, whatever sport they're playing after that.
Coach, as a head coach, you're never as healthy as you are day one in practice. No. I always say that, right? First day of practice, you're giving out the T-shirts, everything's great. 75 varsity players, all there. Everybody's doing the jumping jack, 9, 10, right? Everybody going crazy. The next day, you start hearing about somebody's hamstring or their back or, they couldn't wake up in the morning because this was hurting them. And the 75 goes to around 71 or 68. Then it goes to 65 and it goes to 6. But people like Accucare can help us keep those numbers higher. And that's that. But taking care of your body during the season. You know that, Coach. After a football game, right? Our biggest thing is who's banged up the next day, right? And usually it's the coaches, but but that we having Accucare around, they could be somebody that could be a ritual. Like after games, you go to them and get treated, and maybe a Wednesday leading up to a Friday game to make sure that hamstring's a lot stronger going in the next game when you're playing Point Borough. Is going to be important for you guys. So it's great that we have Accucare there as a friendly sponsor for everybody in the short conference.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge addition. It's a huge addition for you to help both them, and then for kids to find out and have the opportunity to go somewhere where they can recover and get ready for the next week.
I also have a mystery hire happening July 15th, and I can't wait to announce that. And I'm not going
away, Coach.
So I got a lot of positive things. I'm adding, I call it the dream team. When LeBron James went down to Miami, I'm creating a dream team with the Short Football Report. And we're going to be gloating. I'm getting all the top stars. I got Accucare added on, and I got this mystery hire that I'm just going to sit back and I'll be like, yep, yeah, we're okay. So the Short Football Report wants to go undefeated again this year. Just like your expectations are too. Coach, let's talk a little bit more about you, and then we'll talk about those great, outstanding student athletes you have. Your process, I love hearing about your process. You don't get a chance, players, to know a little bit about you, but we're going to do it now. Tell us how you became the head coach at Monmouth. How did you started to where you are? Because I think it's a very interesting process. Everybody that becomes a head football coach. So go ahead, your floor with that. Talk about your process.
I mean, one of the big things is obviously, when I started playing, I played under Coach Rob Marola at Monmouth Regional. I graduated in 2002.
Yeah.
I went on to play at William Patterson under Coach Rico.
One of the best schools out there. That's my alma mater. That was the only school that accepted me too, right?
There you go. Under Coach Rico, my career ended short. I tore my ACL 2 years in a row. Coach Miello actually came in to become the head coach after Coach Rico had left, and I had the opportunity to learn underneath him, kind of help out with the program and do some things. And then, obviously going for phys ed, it gave me the opportunity to do something that I really love to do and be a part of something. From there, I came back. I actually got lucky. I got hired in 2007 after I graduated at Monmouth Regional. I became an assistant coach under Sal Spampanato.
Mm-hmm.
Sal has a ton of experience. I won state titles. He was at Ocean Township for years. He's coached under some great George
Conti, right? Yeah, Conti. Yep.
So he's got an unbelievable amount of experience. When he left, Jason Morrell took over. I had 2 seasons with Jason Morrell where, at that point I was special teams coordinator underneath Sal. With Coach Morrell, I was still a special teams coordinator. That's kind of where I got to meet Coach Mosca at the same time, where he came back as a defensive coordinator. He had left FDU at the time, and he was in the area. Obviously, Coach Mosca is one of those guys that will always be coaching football. So
legend.
So it was a different view for me because he recruited me out of high school. Obviously, he was at FDU, didn't have phys ed, and I ended up going to William Patterson. From that point, when Coach Morrell had left, he went back down to West Deptford, and Coach Mosca took over. Coach Mosca promoted me to be his offense coordinator and still kind of run special teams, and that was in 2013. So we had that opportunity to work together, where he was the head coach. I got to learn from him, see a lot of the things that he's learned. He is an unbelievable amount of knowledge of football, the things that he's done in his career, the things that, how he just game plans, how he goes through things at halftime, how he sets things up through the off season. I learned a tremendous amount from him. 4 years later, he decided to step down and move on. He likes to try different challenges and move on to different things. From that point, I got the opportunity from Coach Curcione to coach down at Donovan. I coached the quarterbacks, and I did the special teams down there with him in his first year at Donovan Catholic, which was an unbelievable experience. That coaching staff.
Oh, you were on that staff when we played you guys?
Yep, that first year we went to Barnegat, I think it was week 1.
Yep.
Ryan Clark was our quarterback.
Yeah.
So that was a great experience because I got to learn from guys that had done it. They had unbelievable runs when they were at Toms River North, when they were at Wall. So to learn and sit in a room with those guys and just listen to football was a great experience for me. From there, I had to kind of make a move, and then I ended up coaching at Neptune the following year under Coach Holman. Again, another great group of guys. Got to learn some things. Coach Mosca actually came back there as the offensive line coach as well. So that was a good experience with those guys, and I had fun. Great kids there. And then it arose where this position opened up at Monmouth, and once I saw it was something I've always wanted to do, I had a chance to kind of test myself a little bit in other schools and see what I could do as a coach and kind of see how things are in other places to kind of bring back. And when the opportunity arose here, I jumped on it, and then luckily enough, I got hired as the head coach, and the rest is kind of history from there.
That's a great story. I love hearing the Rich Mosca. I'm sure he gave you the greatest confidence of going after it too, because he's a motivator, that guy.
Yeah, really absolutely.
I can see him going, you know what? You better go for it. I'll make a call or whatever. But he is, when you have the endorsement of a guy like Rich Mosca, you're sitting okay in an interview. You really are.
Absolutely. I mean, the good thing is that I felt comfortable with is all the guys that I got to coach with and coach under, I've learned significant things from every single one of them, which I think, kind of molded. I think I'm a much better coach being under those guys and learning from those guys than I would if I just came in and took a position.
Oh yeah, yep. You take a little piece, and you probably develop a different personality being around certain people all the time. You really do. I mean, you really do. So great, Coach. That's a great process. I love hearing that stuff, and I can't wait to hear about the present football program as it is today. So we're ready to do. Are you ready to talk some football?
Absolutely.
All right, Coach, I'm going to take this off and never want to see that again. Coach, this is about getting back to normal in our program, in our life. Not only was it difficult for the coaches, how about the players? There's more players than the coaches. So for 2 years, these senior class, the last time they had a normal off season was after their freshman football season. Think of that. Right? So they didn't get a chance, all these players get a chance to see other players in their program go through the rituals of a off-season program. I want you to talk about what is it like as a normal off-season under your direction at Monmouth?
I mean, the big thing too is that even these freshmen didn't get to see everything because we were shut down in March, so they missed a lot of opportunities that things that we did later on in the off season that they couldn't do.
Right.
So the big thing is our point system of how we come up with grades, attendance for things, playing other sports. So that kind of they missed that their freshman year. We started bringing that back their sophomore year, but again, everything was kind of modified.
Yeah.
The big thing for us is being able to, we had more kids playing multiple sports this year because it was easier for them to get to sports. It was easier for them to participate. There wasn't as many shutdowns. So the big thing with us is, getting in the weight room after school, making sure they have their lifts done, their academic stuff, having in-person academic meetings as opposed to me calling them up and saying, hey, listen, you're doing well in this class. What do we need help in this class? What's going on here? So it's a little bit more personal because now I could sit and, they're walking down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit there and talk to them in the hall, like, all right, what's going on in this class? What can we do to kind of help you? Or, what, you're doing a great job. So there's kind of those things that we couldn't do because, everything was virtual. So we're not going to create a million Zoom meetings. So we're doing it through, our Google Classroom or through calling them just to check in on and see how they're doing. So now that stuff's in person where we couldn't do that before. Then having our lifts, having our workouts, the Monmouth U 7-on-7, the Shore's Best Camp. Those are all things that these kids never got a chance to experience. Their first 7-on-7 experience was actually that Barnegat 7-on-7 last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that was different because their sophomore year was that COVID year. We were doing the pods and everyone was broken up. And so that was their sophomore year. Their junior year, we had a little bit of experience with 7-on-7, which, to them was unbelievable. It was great. It was football in July, and we were able to do things, throw a ball, and have everybody together. So it's a huge difference. And then, it's a lot different where you see all these things coming back. Like, tomorrow we have a short conference 7-on-7. So, these are great experiences that these kids will have, and it gives them a chance to kind of build even more memories, faster because, we're together a little bit more than we were in the past. So that's been a huge help for us. And, luckily for us, our group is very tight as it is. So I can't imagine what this is going to do for them, having these accelerated events and things that we could do with them besides our normal morning workouts and our morning practices and stuff leading into August.
Yeah, you said some interesting things, modifying workouts, modifying point systems. As coaches, you want to try and keep things as normal as possible for your classes. Coach, what I did, and I remember everybody in the shore saying, what the hell is that you're doing? I did a virtual 7-on-7. Virtual. And what I did was I did it all on the computer, and I gave them a Q&A questions. We taught our 7-on-7. What I did was I taught our 7-on-7s. So normally when we would do things in the June, we did our 7-on-7s with our players virtually. So I had the quarterbacks come in at a certain time. I had running backs come in a certain time, receivers. Now, they weren't in the meetings for 3 hours, but the coaches were. I was. Maybe another coach was in at this slot and maybe another again an hour later. And then we did our camp on virtual the same way, like the same times, everything. And then we went right to physical in July and did it. But, it's funny because you and I, as coaches, when we said we're going to have a meeting later on after the COVID started disappearing, people would say virtually or in person. So we never had to do that before. If we ever said we're having a meeting, they would say, hey, what room? Now it's like, is it virtual or is it, in person? And now people kind of like the virtual. My wife loves the virtual meetings because I don't have to go away. I could shut it off and now take the garbage out.
Yep, travel time is a lot less.
It's a lot less. And like, think of this right now. If we had to do a meeting where I was going to do a video, I would have to drive all the way to you, or you drive to me, or we go to a central spot. We click this on, we do it, and we present it, and you know what? It's gold. What's the difference if we're in person or not doing an interview like this? This is great. And also, us coaches with clinics, and we've done clinics online. This is I think it kind of opened up our eyes a little bit and made things a little easier in some parts of our life.
Oh, it definitely expanded things and, gave us an opportunity to find out different ways to do things to make things, let's face it, time is the most important thing. So if you can become more efficient with time, you've hit a gold mine.
It's great, man. But you know what? It is good to get back to normal. Seeing everybody in person on 7-on-7s for me, and I know you kind of like looking like this is great. I remember it was like this a couple years ago, but
Yep.
it's great that we're getting out of that era of COVID. And let's knock on wood because we don't want something like that to come back again because it affected so many people. But it felt good at Monmouth to see Monmouth doing their 7-on-7. Felt good to see you guys at the Monmouth 7-on-7, right? Good breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it brings you back to what things used to be and how they used to be, and what you would normally do, just to give experiences. There's
Mm-hmm.
kids that older brothers that would talk about their experiences at Montview that
Yeah.
some of those kids that during those COVID years didn't have those experiences. So it's nice for these kids to get as much as they can out of this, and create that high school experience that we've all had and have fun with it.
And that was important. Like when I was back in the day as a coach, I told our coaches we got to make things as normal as possible, even though they can't do the same things that they probably saw in the last year or two at that. Coach, that's interesting take with getting back to normal. Keep it going, and let's never wear these things ever, ever again. All right, coach. Now it's very important as a head football coach to have a foundation, some outstanding football coaches on your staff is very important. And I know you do because when we talk on the phone, that's the first thing you talk about after you talk about the players is your coaches. Let's hear the 2022 Monmouth Falcons coaching staff.
We have a great group of guys. The most important thing is most of us have been together for a very long time, which is to me I think is a very important thing. Starts off with a guy that I played with in high school. I've known for a very long time, Jason McQuay. He's our defensive coordinator. He played at UTEP. One of those guys, high energy guy, knows the game, student of the game, is always watching film. He's just one of those. He's that calming factor. That guy that you need on game day where you're running around 100 miles an hour, and then he's that guy that kind of sets things back into place a little bit.
Good.
And again, he knows me for the fact that we, since high school. Our next guy is Malik Wiggins, a kid that I got to coach. Unbelievable kid. He was an unbelievable player. Played at Stonehill. He was a captain. Did great things up there. Came back here. The one thing that he has the ability to do is he gets to coach his brothers. He's actually one of 5. Great kid, great family. He's our special teams coordinator. He also coaches our wide receivers and our defensive backs. Next up is Rich Mosca. Can't say enough about him. Mentor of mine. Glad that we have him back. He's our O-line, D-line coach. He has a lot. He's involved a lot with everything on both sides of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He's just one of those guys that, anytime you had a question, you could talk to him. I mean, he's a guy that I've leaned on my entire career, whether it's as an assistant or as a head coach. He's a guy that I've always kind of talked to, ask questions, bounce things off of. He's seen it all. There's kind of nothing he hasn't seen. I think this is actually going into his 53rd year as a coach. So he's done a lot at all different levels, whether it was, his days at Keyport, Mid-South, when he was a coach here at Monmouth, or when he went to Monmouth University or Fairleigh Dickinson, and multiple roles as either coordinator or head coach in college as well. He just has a ton of knowledge that, just being around him, it's exciting.
Coach, all you have to do is say his last name in any building in the Shore Conference, and somebody there knows who he is. Enough said.
We actually went out to a clinic one time in Pennsylvania. We're in the middle of nowhere. Stop at a 7-Eleven. He wanted to get a cup of coffee, and some guy yells his name. And I couldn't believe it. We're in the middle of nowhere, and he's still getting shout outs at 7-Eleven on the corner.
Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. I did stuff like that with my coaches, but I staged it. I would say, I'm going to Wawa at this time. I need for you to call my name out like you know me, make me feel important. We will be there around 7:30. So a little different between me and Mosca. It was actually genuine with him. Me, it was staged. But yeah.
Hey, listen, you made it happen though, right?
I made it happen, Coach.
Next up is Billy D. Williams, a guy that has been here for years. I've been around him for years. He was an unbelievable player at Neptune. He played at Fairleigh Dickinson, so he played under Coach Mosca. He's unbelievable with the kids. He cares about everything that they do. He tries to find ways to get things for them all the time. Unbelievable on the field. He's our running back coach, and he helps with our outside linebackers. Next up is a newcomer to the staff, Mario Figali. He played at RBC under Coach Edgerly. He coached with Coach Edgerly for a year. He's actually the head rugby coach at TC&J. So he's kind of got some college ties too,
Good.
in a sport that's similar. Uh, Great guy, high energy guy, big into lifting, big into conditioning. He's a huge addition to our staff. He's going to bring in that extra little energy, kind of balance things out. And he's also going to help with the O line, D line, and one of our JV coaches. Next up is one of our freshman coaches, Anthony Garino. He's been a guy in the community for years, Coach Pop Warner for years. Unbelievable with football, unbelievable with kids. Great mentor, great motivator. Works extremely hard. Is always around to help as far as game day stuff, whether it's obviously for freshman stuff or JV games or varsity games. He's been a huge addition. He's been with me since the beginning, so he's had this senior group when they were freshmen. Yeah. So that was a big thing for their development and our development as a program. Mm-hmm. Is him transitioning them from that 8th grade year into high school. Next up is a volunteer, Andrew Facone. He's been with us our first when I was an assistant here at Monmouth, and then came back. Actually stayed as an assistant when his son was a player here. Unbelievable with scouting, unbelievable with the video stuff, helps with a lot of the huddle things. He's one of those guys that you can always count on. He's got everyone's list as far as scrimmages and this and that, where we need to be, and who needs to scout. So
yeah,
they're a great group of guys. The most important thing is, they're here for the kids. They want to see the kids succeed, and they want to make sure they have the best experience while they're here.
Coach, that's I watch the coaches when they talk about their coaching staff and see their reaction. And you said some key words like addition, and you elevated when you said it. So you were excited about it as a coach. And I kind of get little tips on that stuff because you had your staff together, but you added somebody, which you're excited to, that actually helped your program. Because you can add a coach and it can disrupt the program too, but you added somebody, the coach that is also a coach at TCNJ. Tell me a little bit about that when you bring in a new coach and it elevates the room a little bit.
Well, I think the big thing too, especially now, is that you got to find people that can coach and that can make the schedule. Because with high school, we're done at 1:50, so we start practicing at 2:15. So if you're not a teacher, you're not in the building, it makes it very hard to happen. So you want to make sure that you find somebody that can fit your schedule, because the most important thing is that they're here. The second thing is, what do they bring to the table? Do they have that extra factor that's going to? I mean, if you look at our group, everyone's back. Everyone's been together at some point or for a long period of time. So you got to find that piece that fits that puzzle perfectly, because you want to make sure that it just elevates everybody and fits in, so that way this machine just keeps rolling at the same pace, because we don't want something to slow it down. So finding someone that can fit in that role and jump in it right away, that's a huge gain for us, because if you don't, then you're kind of falling behind a little bit. So having that opportunity to get him and the energy he brings and around the kids, it's awesome. So that's been a huge addition for us, because you never really know until you start to see things start to work themselves out and you see it in person, because it's just one of those factors.
Now, Coach, you're getting up there in age. There's something about the number 40 that says, okay, you're getting a little old. You're 38, so you're flirting with that 40 thing right there. So let's just say you and Coach Mosca, who's been coaching 53 years. We're talking football. They have all this stuff. But what keeps you guys young is when you get younger coaches that bring in younger ideas. And sometimes you got to tone it down and this and that. And they also bring their music into the locker rooms. And it's like, for me, I don't listen to the modern rap and all that stuff, but my younger coaches do. All right. Do you sometimes feel like that you're adapting to their music and their lingo in the locker room sometimes? And then you start saying, what am I doing here? Frank Sinatra was the music I used to listen to. I used to love hearing New York, New York, and the kids would be like, enough. And then the younger player or younger coaches would put it on and the kids were all doing, I didn't know what the words were, who was the rapper. But yeah, my wife told me to stop. I couldn't hang out with the younger groups anymore because of that music. It's totally not me. My visor, I would turn sideways. It was different. Is there anybody on that staff that keeps it kind of chill in the locker room?
I'm gonna be honest, we have a lot of different music personalities, which is I guess a good thing. Coach Moss will probably be the different, with his blues and jazz and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's good because we kind of do things with it where it's like we'll pick one day and then one day someone will have the music choice and then we'll kind of switch it up, or we'll do
Okay.
it during practice, or we'll switch the music up. Um, and a lot of kids have AirPods and
Thank God.
Beats and all that
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
but it's a good group and they all kind of bounce off each other and like to have fun with it. So we try and keep it. That's one of their things that they could do that brings
Yeah.
everyone some joy. So we have fun with it. We try to make it a game and do certain things so that way everyone gets a little bit of their own music.
Well, that's what's great about programs is that everybody isn't the same personality, and I mean everybody's different, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Some guys might be more vocal, some guys might have a little more energy, some guys are a little more reserved, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's what keeps the staff, interesting, fun, and also successful. Okay, Coach, let's talk 2022 Monmouth High School football schedule. To the left, on the right is the new Independence Division that you just got moved to. And we'll talk, you and I, about that right after you talk about your schedule. Go ahead, Coach.
So we're excited about this year because we got to bring back some rivalries that we played in the past, some teams that were local to us. It starts off with RBR, which actually that's moved to a Friday game. We're going to actually open up Friday night here under the lights. The school's rented lights, where we'll have a Friday night game against Red Bank. Coach Fallon's done a great job with those guys. They have a lot of guys coming back. That should be an exciting game. And
Coach,
a lot
you
of our
said
kids
your first game is a Friday night?
Friday night. So we'll actually play September 2nd here.
Okay.
Like I said, the school's going to run some lights, and we're going to have a night game here, which it's exciting for the kids, and then hopefully that turns into a more permanent thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we start with our conference games a little bit. We go to Raritan, which is a team that we played in the past. Coach Petruzzi does an unbelievable job with those guys. They've been, they were very dynamic. They've got a good core group coming back. They've got a very good tailback that's coming back next year. So that'll be an exciting game up at their place on a Friday night. Then we travel to St. John Vianney. Coach is starting off his career as a head coach up there. They have some talented players, which would be interesting. The more exciting thing for us is that we're playing 3 Friday night games. I think we played 2 all of last year. So to start the season off with 3 Friday night games is exciting for our kids, and 2 of them being conference games. Then from there, we're going to move to Homedale. I think you actually have Red Bank twice there, Coach.
Do I have it? Where?
The 24th.
Okay, my bad.
So we have Homedale at home, which is the Saturday game. Homedale, Coach Reynes has done an unbelievable job up there. He's got those guys rolling. They've got a good core coming back. They're always physical kids. They work real hard. So that'll be a good conference game for us as well. Then we go back to to go play Coach Kaz over at Shore on a Friday night, which it was a huge rivalry for years. It was Monmouth Shore's a Thanksgiving game. I think it was over 20 years at one point. So, kind of bring that rivalry back. It's huge for the alumni, and then, it's good for us. It's right down the road. So, and again, our kids know their kids, so it's going to be a great game. We played them, scrimmaged them last year, and then played them 2 years ago. So that'll be kind of a good game for us. That's a non-division game for us. And then we go back down to Point Borough on a Friday night again. Coach Staub has got those guys rolling. We had an opportunity to play them twice last year, once in the regular season and then once in the playoffs. So our kids are fired up for that game to go back down there and have another opportunity to play Point Borough. Then we come home, play Pinelands. Coach Tierney's first year as the head coach there. So see what they could do. We saw them a little bit at the Shore's best. He's got those kids working hard. So that'll be a good game for us as well. And, I think it's a good competition for both of us. And then we wrap up our regular season with Manasquan. Coach Price has been there for years. He's got those guys rolling. That's a huge tradition down there. And, we're excited to kind of have that conference game as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good schedule in terms of you elevated your competition. You really did, Coach. You went last year. You guys won your national division championship, and then with the short conference, they move the divisions every year, and You start getting used to playing a team, and you want to develop rivalries because maybe you beat them or they beat you, and they want to get even the next year, and that's how they develop. Instead, they move you, and they moved you up 2 divisions to what is now the Independents, right? That we're looking at to the right. Looking at the Independents division. Now you have players to be competing with them now, and that's that. But you're going to be playing some big time programs with high expectations of their own, right, Coach?
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing for us is that we've been in these divisions before. We've got rapport with playing against teams like Raritan and Point Borough. Homedale we've scrimmaged. Vienna we've played in the past.
Uh-huh.
Manasquan we've played in the past. So these are all teams that we've played. We didn't play them obviously last year, but minus Point Borough. But these are all teams that we know of, and they're all close to our area. So we kind of, if they didn't play them last year, the kids know who they are, and we can we're excited for it, and we're excited to compete. And have another opportunity to compete together.
Coach, looking at every one of those teams as a whole, and the Shore Football Report will agree too. Everybody's expectations is playoffs that you're playing. So you're playing teams that aren't reloading or rebuilding, whatever you want to say. This is now. They're built for a run to get to the playoffs and all that. So you're going to have a lot of wealthy PowerPoints at your hands um, every week. So it's very, very exciting, I would say, right?
Oh, this is an exciting schedule. I think it's an exciting division. It gives us a chance. We're going to compete. We're going to test ourselves where we're at. This senior group, they're ready to go. I mean, they were with us when we took those lumps that first year. So they're every year they've gotten better. Every year they've worked harder. Every year they've got something to prove. And you know what? This year's no different. So it's just another year for us to go out and continue to test ourselves and compete. We're excited for the chance to compete against the teams that we're playing, and we're ready to have some fun with it.
Yeah, and when I talk to those coaches too, Coach, when we're talking about everybody in the division is a playoff-minded type of program, that's including your team too. You were in the playoffs. You won a division championship, so you have a little bit of a bullseye on you too, because you now come in there with the old belt, right? So so that's great. So you elevated that program to get to that heights, and that's where you want to be at, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from where we started to where we are now, I mean, the expectation and the standard has risen. So, we're expecting to kind of meet those same goals, and we're expecting to kind of do the things that we've done and continue to compete and get better.
All right, Coach, let's talk about schemes. What are you guys running offensively, and what are you running defensively at Monmouth this year?
Again, offensively, we're a spread team. Like to run RPOs. Our biggest thing is getting different personnel groups and formations. Defensively, we're a 4-2-5. We kind of mold and modify depending on who we're playing and move things around. Obviously, with Coach McQuay and Coach Wiggins and Coach Mosca, they're going to dial some things up and make things exciting for our kids. And being their fourth year in the system on both sides of the ball, we're excited to see the development and then the growth as far as that takes us offensively and defensively.
Coach, my wife always says that there's always a buzzword in a conversation, and then my ears perk up. You said RPO. And does RPO stand for run power often, or is that run pass option in your program?
A little bit of both.
Lou Versillo said, I've been running RPOs from day one, and it's run power often. That's what he would say, old school. I'm sure Mosca's telling you the same thing, or will be saying that stuff. But RPOs are great because you get to put your run game in and still have a chance to throw the ball to your athletes if they're open, right? And you do have athletes, Coach. You do, and I saw them the last 2 weeks. So needless to say, you have one of the top quarterbacks in the Shore Conference that's able to facilitate the football to your athletes. So that's an exciting time. I love hearing the word RPO because you're giving players chances to perform. Okay, Coach, here's one of my best parts of every interview I do. It is the top position groups. All right. Now, at the end of August, I'm going to talk about the top positional players in the short conference, but now we're going to talk about units and groups. It's very important to us coaches to have not just one good lineman, have a group of linemen that buy into it, or a group of receivers or DBs, whatever. So I did my research on you guys, and it really helped me to see this on the 7-on-7s and the camp, that the strength of your teams, I think your top positional groups for offense, defense, special teams. Let me say what they are, and then we'll talk about each one. For offense, I think your strength is your quarterbacks and your running backs. I think for defense, your strength is your D linemen. And I think that your special team strength, even though you have returners, I think it's your kicking game. And that's coming from the Shore Football Report. Coach, can you talk about each one of those phases of the game?
Sure, Coach. I think that's a pretty good assessment. I think the biggest thing with that quarterback running back group is they're probably the most experienced on our offensive side of the ball. Julian's been a 4-year varsity starter. Anthony's been this is his 3rd year starting the football games at the varsity level.
He's impressed me. That quarterback's impressed. He's gotten stronger. The ball is shooting out of his arm a lot quicker. And you know what I liked about him more? His confidence.
Yep, he's had a good offseason.
God, he's a dude.
Yep. So that group with especially with Anthony, Julian, and then you have that group of Jalen and Nas, Luke, and all those guys behind him. It's a pretty core group that again, they have that experience. They could do those things that year 4 now, you could tell them something they already know. They're helping other people out.
Yeah.
I think the other groups on the offensive side, I think they're not far behind. They may not be as experienced, but they have players. You got Tahaj Wiggins with that receiver group. Nick Heisman has played some receiver last year for us. And then up front, we lose some guys up front, but those guys are hungry to go. So but I think the assessment of experience wise, those two are the most experienced offensive.
Now D line wise, I know Bontempo is going to be one of the better D linemen in the short conference. I thought that was your strength. It really did.
Yeah, he's a big part of it. He's that anchor of that group up front. Again, he's another one. This is his 4th year playing varsity football.
Yeah.
He played varsity as a freshman for us, so he's gotten that experience. He's a hard worker in the weight room, runs track. And I think the group around him, they do a lot of good things. They're very technically sound. Then now you bring in, Coach Mosca and Coach Magali. That's just going to elevate that group even more to do some things that make them even more dynamic than what they were leading into this year. So that's going to be a very exciting group. Realistically, I think that front 7 as a whole. You had a kid like Eric Crossley. Yeah. This is his 3rd year as varsity starters, middle linebackers. And then Nick Heisman's his 3rd year. So you add that group. That's a pretty strong group up front. I think they're going to do some great things.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting to watch them grow and mature as they've gone through the program and gone through. Watch them. They were coming to an 8th grade. Once their 8th grade year was over, we had that camp in the end of June, and then now watching them now as seniors, it's a little surreal, and watching them develop is pretty cool.
Now, tell me, you did agree with me. You're reassuring me. I was doing my homework. How about your kicking game? Tell me something. Why is your kicking game, your kickers, your strength?
So Lucas Bontempo is actually punting again for us. So he's a kid again, big time athlete. He changes the field position. He does some things back there for us. And then you add Griffin Hicks, who can kick, and that field position battle is a huge thing, which is big for us. And then on the reverse side, you throw Prince in there as a returner. That kind of helps field position more. But I think again, experience-wise, our kickers are the more experienced group. They've been there; they know what to expect. Coach Wiggins relies on them to do certain things, and they produce. They do what they're told. It's a good thing for us as far as the field position.
And having a D tackle being your kicker, who's going to want to block his kick? He's one of the toughest guys out there. You're going to block his kick. Kickers get upset when you block their kicks. Do not block Bontempo's kicks. Coach, yeah, we know you have other positional groups that are also something that you're very excited about. But I just thought that your quarterback, running backs, your D linemen, and your kicking game was your strength of a very talented football team this year. All right, Coach. Now let's talk about your returning players, newcomers, whatever you have coming back that gets you excited about the 2022 football season. Go ahead.
A lot of the, as far as the returners go, you've mentioned a lot of their names throughout this already, like a kid like Lucas Tempo, Eric Crossley, Nick Heisman, Anthony Jen, Julian Jones, um, Tahaj Wiggins. Those are the kids that made big names for themselves last year.
Mm-hmm.
Expect to do the same things this year. Or other seniors that have made big impacts so far this summer. So I feel like Seven Dismute, Aiden Schilke had a great year last year for us on the offensive defensive line. John Anthony Panulo did the same thing for us on both sides of the ball. I mean, the one thing that we were very proud of last year is that we were averaging about 35 kids who were playing in a varsity game, whether it was offense, defense, and special
Really?
teams. So I mean, the big thing for us is, and it's a huge tribute to our position coaches because they did a great job rotating kids in. So we never had to make sure we didn't have kids with experience. Carter Sister Dam, same thing on the offensive and defensive line. The big thing is, then you look at our junior class. You got a kid like Evan Booth, started as a sophomore, got a couple of games in as a freshman, playing free safety. So seeing where he goes into his junior year is a big thing. He had a huge offseason. Nick Crossley, he's had a lot of experience for us. The Harris brothers, Jaden and Jalen, both worked hard, both ran track. I think Jaden also played basketball this year, so he should have a big jump for himself. Griffin Hicks, Griffin, kind of made a splash towards the end of the year. Really dedicated himself in the off season. Worked real hard in the weight room. To be honest, he's done some good things. Past couple weeks at the Shore's Best Camp at the Monmouth 7-on-7. So we're excited to see his development as he continues to get better. Dave O'Grady, started for us as a right tackle last year as a sophomore. So, we're excited to see his growth going into his junior year. And then, again, you got a lot of kids that did some things, special teams wise. You got a kid like Luke Palmieri, Haven Tinsley, Nasir Watson. Those are all kids that did some things that we're excited after the offseason they had of what they're going to do going forward. Mm-hmm. There's some names that we're going to kind of keep hitting a little bit so that way, we'll see as they go. But there's some kids that even decided to come out this year that, we're excited to see what they could do on the field, because the big thing that with this group is that, with COVID and everything else, some kids didn't play or some kids couldn't play. Or
right.
So, having a full year of, hopefully of what we're calling normalcy, bring some things out. We're excited to see this group get together and, what they've done so far this summer. We're excited about and happy of the work they're putting into, the dedication, again, those bonds that they're building, because it's going to be a big year for all of them. This is their chapter. It's their book.
Coach, when I saw you guys this summer, and I went over my notes that I've been doing for a couple of months on you guys. It just, it let me know I was doing the right research. You guys are experienced and you're talented, or should I say talented, experience, whatever it is, one or the other. And then watching you guys live, that really was like, these guys are experienced. They're confident. They know what step to take next because they know what's going to happen at a camp, or they know what you're thinking. I heard the dialogue with not just Anthony Jen, but the other guys like, Coach, are we doing blah blah? And it was your lingo, and they knew what to do. I mean, and that's really something that when you actually start practice in August, you're going to love, right? You say one buzzword, and basically 80% of the players know what it is already, right?
It's a huge thing for us. I mean, whenever you start anywhere and then to see it go from year 1 to year 4 now,
yeah,
and seeing the development these kids have had, and then not even just their development, but now where the juniors are and the sophomores, where our incoming freshmen are, it's a huge difference. And with that, it helps continue to build. And, it's just the next man up, and, the expectation and the standard set for, the classes to come in as they continue to come in. And, we're excited for it. And we're, kids just keep working hard to get better.
Coach, I love it, man. I mean, when I was at Barnegat, we used to have a buzzword that, when we were doing no huddle, it meant something. And it kind of went off in an off season too. We used to say Peter. So if I said Peter, that means repeat. And it was amazing because not only were we saying it, the teachers were saying it in the classroom. So when they were doing something, she would go, Peter, and the football players would go, repeat it. And it was something that in our practices or during our drills, during our lectures, during whatever, we would use that buzzword. And it was like that. And that's where I knew the program was in good hands, that it was something unique that nobody else would know, but we would know. And of course, in a football game, if we ran a play and we Petered it, it's run the same play. Peter. So what you do in the off season or in the classroom or in the locker room, and you put it on the game and you win, and you think you got something on people, that's where the program starts feeling prideful and like I like what I'm doing. So and I saw that with you guys. You were saying some buzzwords, and they knew what it was. I didn't know. I always try and crack the code and be like, all right, what does that mean, lasso? But that's a great job, and I seen it, I sensed it, and that's something positive. It really is, Coach. It really, really is.
Thank you.
So, what I'm going to ask you now is do you change your expectations? Have they grown now that you're more confident with your players, or it's always been the same at Monmouth?
We've always tried it. Our expectations were always the same of what we wanted to do. But now that we have that comfortability where everyone knows what it is, we expect it at a higher level. So the big thing is, not necessarily, that what we were trying to do or why we were trying to achieve it hasn't changed.
Good.
It's now how we do it. So that level should be done in a different way now because now the expectation is known. There's no question of what we want them to do. It's how we're going to do it, how quickly we're going to do it, and then like every year, what is this senior class going to do? Last year's senior class, had their goal and their mindset of what they wanted to achieve and leave their legacy for the younger classes. Well, now it's the senior class's turn. So the senior class has to, kind of create it's their story. 2022 is their year, so they kind of have to, what are they going to leave to that younger group, and how are they going to lead this group, and with the challenges they have ahead. It's exciting to see because we've seen some glimpses of what they've done, and who stepped up to be a leader, and who's kind of doing certain things to help each other out and make sure that things are taken that next step that we're all expecting.
Coach, I always find it interesting when coordinators become head coaches, and they never were a head coach. They never were. They were a coordinator, so it's different. And you know that. You know that when you became the head coach, oh, it's different. How about those seniors? They never been seniors before. They seen it like you as an assistant. You seen the head coach, and now when you became, he said, "Okay, I'm going to start morphing into all the head coaches that were in my, during my resume stuff." These underclassmen, now they're 1 year older. You never know as a high school coach how they're going to be. How are you a leader? Are you did you take notes when you were younger? Because now you're the leader. Because all of a sudden the graduation happens, you're the senior leader. You can't. It's something you can't teach. You got to kind of have it or don't have it. And I know you probably are coaching up the kids on what to say. Hey, pat the guy in the back once in a while. Let him know that it's okay. Be a leader. But that's the fun part, Coach. Seeing guys elevate to the next year, and it's a growing process not only for us as coaches, but those seniors too, right?
Oh, it's a huge life experience for them because let's face it, after this year, they're going to go to the military, go to college, go to the workforce, whatever they're going to choose to do, play college football. They have to figure out, who are they going to be as a person, who are they going to be as a man, what kind of leader are they going to be.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and that's, a huge life lesson for them going forward. So it's exciting to watch that development, that growth as they continue to go through that process.
Coach, we always tell them like you don't know how it's going to be when you're a dad or you're a husband because you gotta get married, you gotta have the kid, and then there's your experience. Go get it. It's like so. Those are your life schools, Coach. Game day, we always said in our program, game day is when you have those knots in your stomach and you just can't explain it. You don't get it any other time except weddings, except birth of babies, and then Friday night football or Saturday football. The knots in your stomach game day. It's the greatest thing in the world, and I know you get them too, and that's what gets us going. Game day.
Absolutely. Good. It's best day of the week.
Best day of the week. Yep. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on the show and talking Monmouth Falcons football to everybody here. You did an outstanding job, and we'll be talking to your players in a few about your program. It's always exciting, and I love it. I love hearing their view on everything, and that's most important. But you got a lot of guys with heads on their shoulder. I came away very, 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 very impressed with the direction of the program this year. So congratulations to you, and best of luck to you guys this year. But don't forget about the Shore Football Report. You
Coach,
got
thank you for that.
you should be game planning and also watching the Shore Football Report equally, because I'm gonna.
I don't know about equally, but we'll definitely be
I
checking.
didn't know about equally either. So, but I had to throw that in there with that. All right. So,
Coach, thank you for having me, and thank you for all you do for the kids in the Shore Conference.
and I'll see you Tuesday.
That publicity. Yep,
So
absolutely.
basically, I'll see you when this is probably posted that day.
Sounds good.
All right. Tell everybody hello and keep working hard.
Same here. Thanks, Coach. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right. Now we're going to talk to Monmouth Falcons senior football players who are outstanding football players on the field, but even better off the field. And I got that first look when I saw you guys at the 7-on-7 and Shore Best Camp. I got a chance to get to know you, and that's why it's important to to go to these camps, because you take the helmets off. Coaches want to see who they're investing in, and you guys are a great investment, really are. Is that the warning?
No, that was the best.
Usually when that alarm goes off, people shut off their stuff and run away like a fire drill. But guys, excited to have you guys on here. We're going to get right to the chase. 5 questions I have for you guys because I want to know more about your football program. I know enough right now, but I want to hear from you guys. You guys okay with it?
Let's go.
All right, first question.
Yep.
Who is the funniest dude in your football program? The guys that are in your locker room, you guys are sitting there, waiting for the coaches to come in. This guy's just cracking jokes, making you guys laugh. The coach comes in, everybody just gets quiet again, and and coach never knows what's going on. I want to know who's the comedian of the football team.
I'm gonna say 7.
Who?
7 Dismute.
7 Dismute.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. You guys are smiling pretty good right now, so it must be some.
I would say 7 Dismute and Dave O'Grady.
Dave O'Grady? Really? He's funny?
Yeah.
How about Jules? What do you think?
Yeah, I think 7 and Dave O'Grady. They the funniest kids on the team.
Now, does Coach know they're funny too? Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
There's nothing wrong with having fun, guys. When you're waiting for the coach to come in and all that. There's a time and place, but we all have comedians. Even coaching staffs have comedians. We're not going to go there, though, but that's good. How about the second one? Who's the leader? When something needs to be echoed out to the community, there's always one player that kind of informs the whole team and the community. Just like tomorrow, when this comes out, who's sending out the videos to tell everybody to pass it around on your team?
I feel like all of us leaders have.
So
yeah, I would say mostly though us 3, me, Julian, Taj, and then I would probably say Nick Heisman.
Yeah,
those core senior group of guys that have been here for a while.
So you guys have like a group chat that you guys send the messages out, like, "Hey, we got to get our physical, or make sure you're not late for practice."
Yeah, we got to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great that you got more than one person doing it, because that's the makeup of a good football program right there. Good, that's important right there. Third one, getting back to normal. You guys haven't had a normal off season in 2 years since after your freshman football season. You guys have not had a normal off season because of the COVID. That's coaches, community, families, and yourself. Tell me, how important was it? How did it feel to have a normal off season this year for the first time?
It felt good to have a normal off season. It felt like we got more time to get ready for the season, and we could all get our chemistry together. So it felt good to have a normal off season this year.
Taj?
Yeah, same with you. What you said, it's amazing.
It's good. It's good to hug everybody, huh? And what's up? Give me something different.
Yeah, definitely as a quarterback, you got to build chemistry with your guys. So it's good being back out there and having everybody there and don't have to worry about, after you throw a football, you got to clean it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember all that we had to go through, but now it just feels normal and feels great.
When you have a big program like you guys have, and you have those underclassmen, sometimes a little tap on the shoulder to let them know you're there, and maybe you didn't say nothing, goes a long, long way for those guys because they look up to you guys. They really do. So your body language or how you interact with those guys is very valuable, and later on they'll be leaders like yourselves. That's great. Number 4, what is the expectations inside the Monmouth Falcons locker room? You guys, not the coaches, your expectations. And lead it off.
So I expect like out of our guys especially is just to give effort. I think if our team gives effort and do what we're supposed to do correctly, I think we can compete with anybody. So like when there's kids messing around, like it takes us 3 to get them in line. But so far, like just this one day, like our first like real practice, I guess. Some of the freshman guys that came in definitely stepped up and they kind of fit right in. And a lot of underclassmen, like kids going into their junior year, the set of juniors are working. They're working hard. So I just expect them to give effort. That's all you can really ask of them.
Effort. Julian, what's your expectations?
Most definitely, I'd say effort and to compete every day, like to come and make ourselves better by competing with each other. Because if we can do that, then I feel like we can compete with anybody.
Nice.
That's what I say.
Taj?
I'm gonna say definitely effort and finishing every step of the way.
That's nice, man. You guys definitely elevated the program by winning your championship in the national division, and now you're going to a very highly competitive independence division, which I told Coach Wendel yesterday that you guys are definitely going to be able to compete with those guys. You're one of those dudes. So you do have kind of a little bit of a target on you too, because you're coming in as the division champ somewhere else, and now you're playing with these established traditional power programs. It's got to be exciting, though, isn't it?
Let's go.
Yeah, most definitely. We ready for that, though. We'll be prepared.
Yep,
I think it's our chance to prove ourselves, especially the group of senior guys. Because as long as we've been here, we really didn't have it like our freshman and our sophomore year. We didn't have winning seasons. And then obviously when we were juniors and we were the core group of kids, like we showed people what our grade could do, like the class of 23 could do. So hopefully next year we can do the same thing.
I was very impressed watching you guys at Monmouth 7-on-7 and, of course, the short bets camp, how you handled each other on the sidelines, the idle time. It wasn't a lot of grab bagging and throwing water bottles. I mean, you guys were very professional. You guys were definitely very tight. And we do know on the field you have some outstanding athletes, you guys and some others that Coach Wendel was talking about earlier. Real exciting times with Monmouth. I'm going to end this right here at one question now. One question. I want all of you to give me something different. You tell everybody in the lower levels right now that's going to be future Falcons. Why is it so special to play football where you're at in Monmouth Falcons under the direction of Coach Wendel? Tell me something that I wouldn't know. Why is it exciting to be playing football where you're at? Julian, you go first. Julian goes first.
All right. I'd say Monmouth is like the atmosphere, like with the coaches and stuff like that. Like the coaches there, they're like obviously experienced, and then they can. I feel like they can get you to where you want to be, at the high school level, and if you want to go to the college level.
Correct. Go ahead, Ant.
So I think like for kids that are maybe not in high school yet or the underclassmen, why they would want to play here is because you always have like a chip on your shoulder. Like, I mean, again, back to like us three, like it's always been like, oh, you guys are supposed to be the next group of players coming in that are supposed to be good. Like when we played Pop Warner and AYF and stuff like that, we were always good and we were winning games and championships and stuff like that. So when we came in, we were expected
good,
like a lot of us. So like hopefully the next generations keep that same like, all right, I have to live up to these expectations and hopefully they meet them.
Nice. Taj, you're going to end it right here, right? Tell me why it's so special to be playing at football there.
I'll say the brotherhood, the chemistry we build up together, and like you really just make a new connection and have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you one thing about Coach Wendel. He's very professional, great guy. I love the atmosphere, like you said. a couple years ago, you guys were winless. A couple years ago, I was coaching at Barnegat, and the atmosphere was intense. I couldn't believe it. The people in the stands love watching you guys play football, your program. And I said to them, I said to one of my coaches, I go, they're 0-7 right now. Could you imagine how exciting they would be if they were actually getting like you are right now? So I could just imagine how crazy it is in the stands because they were so passionate and they were you guys were winless back in that at that time. The fans didn't care. They loved you guys and how hard you work and so supportive in the stands. It was very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. Now we have like the student section now. Kind of blew up last year after we started like last season, the class of 2022. So the kids that graduated were big into getting a student section going. So they made it like their goal to get people to the game and stuff like that. Like there's times where our like principal had to tell them to calm down because they were getting so rowdy sometimes. So that definitely helped a lot. It was kind of because the last few seasons, like obviously when you're losing games, kids don't want to come to games.
Yeah.
But now this year that we started doing good, everybody's like getting to the games, getting out there on Saturday. So it's a good thing for us.
Well, I want to thank you guys, and let me introduce you guys. I didn't introduce you in the beginning. Anthony Jen, the outstanding quarterback, all the way in that left corner. Just raise your hand, wiggle your nose, give me a wink, one of those things. Over to the right, the outstanding wide receiver, Taj Wiggins, and on the bottom right there, the explosive running back, Julian Jones. All three of you will be on the Shore Football Report's top positional players rankings. That's coming out at the end of August. A lot of exciting times happening here. I have a huge hire happening in July 15th, the mystery hire. You don't know who it is. It might be the guy next to you. You never know. I'm not telling anybody. But you guys keep doing what you're doing on and off the field, and I'll see you tonight at Manalapan. 24 teams are going to be guys, 24 teams are going to be there. Just make sure you guys stay united, and have fun. It is what it is. You're just getting better, and you guys want to keep, adding to the success you had last year. All right? All right?
Let's go.
I'll talk to you guys later, and go Monmouth.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for having me, Coach.